Teachers are looking for a way to integrate, to find things that improve student engagement, to challenge children to be problem-based, to be engineering active. This is what our teachers have been looking for. The enormous burden on a teacher to make all of that happen without a framework has really been lifted in so many ways by WeDo. They have seen the opportunity to get their kids engaged in a fully integrated system in ways that I don't think they imagined before.
The WeDo robotics allows me to teach math in a new way. We're able to use just basically the bricks to teach multiplication. Some of the bricks are a 2 by 6 and there's 12 dots on that, so that's teaching arrays. We've used it to teach fractions, we've used it for subtraction and addition, we've used the software for timing, counting, we've used it for all different kinds of things, and it just is a new way and a different way for the students to practice the skills that they're learning.
My favorite thing about the WeDo is that instead of just using paper and pencil for doing math, you get to use different kinds of bricks and blocks to just make math, and it's really fun to do.
Our school's focus this year has been writing. Today with our activity, the students, not only did they do mathematics, but afterwards we wrote about what our goals and our talents were, and that had to do with the drumming monkey and his skills and how often he practiced. In other ways, you can integrate science and math with the different skills. I know later we're going to be integrating music with pitch and sound and timing and counting and all good things like that.
It's hard to get students to relate to the things that they consider happening a long time ago in the past, but the WeDo software allows me to kind of modernize history and allows them to get the blocks in their hands and to build and put a modern spin on old-time concepts and old-time on material and things that they would have previously considered boring are now things that they consider fun and new and exciting, and it really brings life to history.
It helps me learn social studies about stuff that I didn't know from long ago.
And it excites the kids so much to have their hands on those blocks building. The students who normally are at the bottom, who are low, who are struggling, will suddenly be the one who shines. We did these lessons right before Christmas break, in that last week where kids' brains are not on learning, are not on school. So when they came in today, they were coming in after almost 3 weeks away from having done that lesson, and they remembered it. They picked right back up on it.
The boat, it was kind of like a U shape except a little bit wider. And so I had to try and figure out, and I looked and looked and looked until I found the right blocks, put it together. And the first time I did it a bit too long and it fell apart. But then once I took some of the blocks off and I rebuilt it, the parts that go up, once I built it a little bit smaller, then it stayed on just fine and it worked perfectly. It's easier because when I just write, I just get distracted, but then when I do it with Legos, I focus my mind on Legos and I really worry about that.
One of the things that we have a hard time hitting with standards are those presentation standards, the speaking kinds of things. And doing the WeDo, the students wanted to watch the goalkeeper and listen to the commentary and see if it matched. So it really hits those presentation standards and the speaking standards.
He went right! He blocked the ball! He went left! The team scores! The crowd goes wild!
It allows my students to take ideas from stories or ideas that they may have come up with themselves and written in a story and bring it to life. What's amazing is that in the lesson that we did today with the goalie, not only were they counting and subtracting and adding and multiplying the number of goals that were made, they also turned that around and wrote scripts about kicking goals and the team that was winning, and completely creatively came up with, you know, their own imagination of what was going on in their lesson.
WeDo allows me to integrate STEM and language by allowing the children the freedom to program, to explore, and to connect and continue their learning using the activity packs. The science standards that are taught using WeDo are force and motion, and with the Hungry Alligator kit, the ecosystems that they can learn and express.
I built a iguana, and we built a habitat in the forest. We built trees and some grass.
One of our big standards is about habitats and what about a habitat helps an animal survive there. So it was really great that they could see the habitat and they could think, well, what do they need to survive there? So they all thought we should put some water in there because all animals need water, and we should probably have some food for it. So they had to go and think about what kind of food does this animal eat, and basically shelter, what does it need to survive? And that's one of the big standards that we learned about earlier in the year.
If you do WeDo, then you'll be inspired by it. It's very unique and creative and helpful.
It's limited by the imagination. You know, the teacher and the student can take it in any direction that they see fit, and that's the beauty of the WeDo software. You have one individual lesson, but it doesn't give you an end goal. It just gives you kind of a guide, and you kind of take it to the area that your students need to go in.
I can tell you that as a former classroom teacher, it is the best product I have ever dealt with in any of my roles. It generates more enthusiasm for students, teachers, and parents alike than anything I've ever seen.